with SuperPod 3, the online charity podcast festival raising money for comic relief. Every single penny you donate goes to comic relief, and your donations help tackle important issues like homelessness, hunger, domestic abuse, and mental health stigma, all of which have been impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic. To donate, head to www.superpod.co.uk and click Donate in the top right corner to get to the Just Giving page. And if you're a UK taxpayer, don't forget to say yes to gift aid, and the government will donate an extra 25% on top of your donation at no extra cost to you. To keep in touch, use hashtag SuperPod3 or just comment on the live stream. The acting community has been sterling to comic relief over the years, but do we really understand actors? This sketch from Release the Clowns episode 17 might answer some of your questions in regard to an actor's motivation as we go visit the actor's studio. In today's acting masterclass, I'd like to talk about how we build a character. The character has to come from within. You have to know this person, understand them. You must inhabit them. You are not pretending. You are becoming.
It's sales week at Trouser World. Zip over to our chino section to pocket a great deal before they fly off the shelves.
When building a character, I find it helpful to begin with a place. He's in a clothes shop. Why? What is his intent? His trousers are worn. He needs some new trousers. What sort of trousers would someone like him wear? How about these? Are these like his father's trousers? How do I feel about my father? First person. I am becoming.
Hello there, sir. Can I help you at all?
When you truly inhabit your character, you are comfortable interacting in the moment with the world around you. Someone's asking if they can help me. Can they help me? Can anybody help me? What sort of help do I need from someone like this? What did they have for breakfast today? Yes, you can help me. These trousers are like my father's trousers. I think this makes me sad. I'd like to buy these trousers.
Okay. If you'd just like to follow me to the till, we'll take care of that.
It's important to keep any actions your character takes within the realm of the possible. If your character is not a superhero, then he cannot fly. If she is not a surgeon, she cannot perform operations. My character does not have 40 pounds. He cannot buy these trousers. Why not? He hasn't worked for 2 months. Why hasn't he worked for 2 months? Is it because nobody understands him? However, remaining within the realms of possibility does not mean one cannot subvert expectations.
Sir! Stop!
Always explore the space fully.
Officer, we've got a shoplifter.
Yeah, I can see him. He's hiding behind that ornamental cheese plant. Come out, sir. I need to talk to you.
The motivations of other characters should inform the actions of your own. There is a police officer here. What does he want? What makes him tick? What would he drink on a Saturday night? He's approaching me. Am I a renegade? How would a renegade respond? A renegade is proactive. Charge!
Sir, stop. Stop, sir. Sir? Sir? I think he's coming round. Sir, I am arresting you for theft and assaulting a police officer in a trouser department.
When you truly become your character, the thrill of performance is like a charge of electricity. It can almost knock you off your feet, or actually knock you off your feet. Sometimes you zone out. I have zoned out. I am dribbling. My trousers are wet. I need new trousers. I have become. Next week, we explore the relationship between performance and food. Meet me by the bins out back of Tesco.
Casting live video across our social channels. Search for SuperPod UK and live audio on your favorite internet radio station. SuperPod 3.
Please note, this following podcast features bad language right from the start.
And now, recorded live in Southampton, England.
You're listening to The Bear Cave and other podcasts.
This is Darren, the nosy little bit.
This week on Gogglebox, a staggering episode all about walking when drunk.
My Life, a podcast by Her Majesty the Queen.
Real audio wrestling, the best wrestling promotion that you've never seen. This is Baz and Dave's hidden cinemagic.
Tune in next week for a much better episode. For now, courage.
Now, here's your host,
Albert Galpin.
And that's me. Hello, I am Albert Galpin, and I am joined today, and bringing him in unexpectedly there, by Mr. Darren Saunders. Hello, Darren.
What? Oh, I'm on. Hi.
How are you? You all right?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, thank you for joining us, and thank you everyone who is watching us and listening to us by whatever means you are joining us today. We have people watching us on Facebook, on Twitch, and on Periscope right now. We're also on YouTube, and we are also on radio, broadcasting live on The Bear, also on Chippenham FM, and Brighton and Hove Community Radio today. So whichever radio station you might be listening to us on, welcome to the show. Thank you for being here. This is SuperPod 3, the charity podcast festival in aid of comic relief. We started at 8 o'clock this morning. We are here till midnight. We have live podcasts throughout the day. We have a few pre-recorded as well. We've got a pre-recorded podcast coming up at 12, so I can go and get some food and things like that. That's basically how the day is going. This show is the Bear Cave and Other Podcasts. It is a podcast of which I have done only 4 episodes and haven't done one in a little while, but it's kind of a Darren actually coined the explanation of it the first time. It's kind of a magazine style podcast. I think you're the first person who kind of called it that. I mean,
well, that's because I'm a pretentious radio professional.
Absolutely, and today will be a bit different than the previous podcast episodes that I've done, but we are going to be doing different things from different podcasts, basically, and maybe talking about and making up podcasts as we go along. It's kind of what the show's about. So coming up today, we're going to talk some weird news stories, which I will need to load up at some point. We have got a mini episode of 60,000, which is Darren's podcast, which we'll be playing for you a little later on, and also we will be playing other things and just generally having fun for the next sort of 50 minutes or so. Allowed Stacey and Barry to overrun so that Stacey could actually say goodbye, seeing as she had technical issues and wasn't there for most of her own show, which is fine because we had something lined up for you today. Unfortunately, that person had to pull out, which means we are down a few chunks of moments of content for this selection. So excuse any waffling that you may.
Big shout out to Barry from Geek Syndicate there for just vamping for like 10 minutes. I've had to do that on, I think it was Dead Piet I was doing with you, yes. And your internet fell over. And yeah, I think it was just the two of us that week anyway. And I was just You know that scene in Wayne's World where Garth has to do it on his own?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was me.
Second Wayne's World reference of the day already. That's not one I expected to be coming up a few times in SuperPod today.
Nothing like up-to-date references here on SuperPod.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. All the up-to-date references here. I am at SuperPod HQ, just down the road. And here in Southampton, because SuperPod is Southampton's charity podcast festival, but because of the current situation, not able to do it in person this year. So we have become the online charity podcast festival, and we are raising money for Comic Relief. So as a reminder to everyone, please do donate. We are looking for your money. We'll take whatever you can afford to give. And if you can't afford to give, that's fine, because obviously there are lots of things going on at the moment. And if that's the case, please just share SuperPod with as many people as you can. There is a reason that this is free and we're asking for donations. We're not charging you to watch anything. So you just feel free to share it with it, because if you're not able to give anything, maybe someone else can that you can tell them about.
Realistically, in the free market, you could charge like thousands to listen to this next hour of radio.
I was contemplating making this next hour a non-fungible token and then auctioning it off to raise additional
Absolutely.
money.
Use enough power to power, Slovakia.
Yeah, I didn't know how to do that. I thought that no one would probably actually want to do it. Gloria says, I know that guy. Yes, hello, Jack. Nice to see you. Jack is he was on the first ever SuperPod with his Nintendo podcast, as it was then, and he was my right-hand guy for last year at the venue for the whole weekend of SuperPod 2020, which was just over a year ago now. It was a year ago last weekend. And he's here monitoring things, moderating the chat, sending out the social media messages for us on Facebook and Twitter. So a big thanks to Jack. Other than that, all the tech stuff, unfortunately, because it's all here, I can't have anyone to help me today. So I am rooted to this chair.
We have faith. We believe in you, Al.
It's an interesting one, because obviously doing this today means that Kitty has to solo parent all day and look after our 3-year-old. Yesterday was Kitty's birthday.
Happy birthday, Kitty.
Tomorrow is, of course, Mother's Day. So I get to spoil her for 2 days, and in the day in between, she has to wear herself out looking after Hunter for the entire day.
So she's earning tomorrow then?
She's earned yesterday and tomorrow, yeah, absolutely. She's had a day in tomorrow, breakfast in bed tomorrow, that kind of stuff. So, so she's earning that today. She's taken him shopping this morning to go and get the food shop.
I'm sure he's well up for that.
Oh, yeah. Normally she goes on her own, and I look after him on a Saturday morning. And she's off with him today because we have no other option. So I wonder what they will come back with and what state he will be in when he comes back, because he's reached the stage where he just refuses to listen and has learnt how to say no, which is never...
So that's any age between 2 and 17?
Yeah. So we've got the long haul now. He's 3. So we're in it for the long run.
You have my sympathy.
Yeah. So you're on the other end of that, so...
Yeah, well, mine's nearly 17 and I barely see him. He's here right now, but I won't see him now until probably 12:30, 1 o'clock, when he emerges for bacon.
Decides he wants some feeding.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I know that. Yesterday, Kitty was awoken. I was going to let her have a lay-in, try and get Hunter dressed and off to nursery without her getting up. But no, she was woken with a finger in the face and I need a poo. So, yeah.
But Hunter was still in bed, right?
Yeah. I just decided I needed to tell her that I needed to take a dump. And apologies for those of you watching as well, by the way, with the videos in between shows. Seeing as I'm on, I'll mention what's going on. The videos are streamed locally from my computer. They're not uploaded. And the negative effect of that is that it appears that now that there are multiple people watching and multiple people on the stream, it is struggling to do everything all at once. Whereas yesterday, when I tested it with only me on the stream, it worked perfectly fine.
You're a victim of your own success.
I know, I'm trying too hard to do things. So I am going to try and attempt to change that for later. And hopefully the others will work uploaded and therefore smoother. So touch wood, fingers crossed for future videos. but I was going to play a couple towards the end of this show, and now I'm not so sure that I want to because it's just.
But it's fine because we'll hemorrhage listeners and viewers between now and then. So, plenty of bandwidth.
So we have the chat and everything else up and running. So if you are watching the stream, you can send a message like these people have that I'm putting up on screen. Jack, thank you for smooth like your voice. Lovely, thank you. I don't know which of us that is aimed at, but
you obviously
we will both take it, I'm sure. So you can send us a message that way. If you are listening, you can find us on the social medias and send us a message. We are SuperPod UK on all the socials, basically. Or you can email studio@superpod.co.uk, and I will have access to those, and I can read out any messages. But seeing as this podcast kind of talks about podcasts in various forms, I know I've already done an episode where I talked to you about your podcast, Darren.
Yes.
Of other people who had not heard that episode or are not aware of your podcast, do you want to tell us a bit about it?
Well, yeah, essentially. So a bit of background. I graduated from Bournemouth Uni doing radio production in 2010, an eon ago. And ever since then, I've wanted to do a podcast. And I've had these grand ideas for series, but I get quite, not bored, but I just kind of run out of steam after about 4 episodes on a given theme. So I decided about 18 months ago now to kind of ditch the idea of a theme and just do what I wanted with an RSS feed. And so 60,000 was born. And it's sort of become, what with everything that's been going on for the last year or so, it's sort of become a mindfulness podcast in the sense that it's not really, it's not an exciting thing to listen to, but it's a calm, nice thing to listen to, in which I talk about things that I want to talk about, or I recount stories from history that are relevant to what's going on right now, or it's a weird one, and I do wonder why I don't have many listeners. That's the elevator pitch right there.
Include the bit about not having a listeners in the elevator pitch. That's
yeah.
Please come and listen because someone's got to.
Please double my listenership by listening.
No, I remember the same. We went on, Kitty and I went on Pointless, and Alexander Armstrong was like, "So what hobbies do you got? What do you do when you're not working?" And I mentioned the fact that we did a podcast, which was Dead Piet, which we were doing the first iteration of at the time. And he's like, "Oh, okay. And how many people do you get listening?" And I was like, "Not many." And he's like, "Okay, well." And he looked at the camera, Dead Piet Society. Maybe you'll get a few more now. And sure enough, about 1,000% jump in the following day.
Wow.
They didn't stick around, though, unfortunately.
No.
Some subscribers, but they all listened to at least 30 seconds to find out what was going on. What is this thing this guy is talking about? Podcasts are like that, I think, sometimes. Whilst they are a huge thing now, and obviously podcast festival that we're on, and there's lots of those, and every celeb under the sun seems to be launching one at the moment. But the large portions of the public seem to not know what they are still.
Well, I think the trouble is that essentially podcasts are talk radio with a lower barrier to entry, in a manner of speaking.
Yeah.
If you think like Radio 4, essentially podcasts are Radio 4 without the public service requirement. Yeah. And as great as Radio 4 is, it's not widely listened to by the average person on the street, if you understand what I mean. Like, I'm a welder. Long-time listeners to Dead Piet will know that. Yeah, I'm a welder in my day job. And I don't think there's a single person at work that routinely listens to Radio 4. And so trying to get people to listen to podcasts is kind of similar to that in a way. Because you'll say to people, "Oh yeah, I do a podcast." "Oh, what's that?" "Well, it's like radio, but you download it." "Okay, so what music do you play?" Well, I don't, because it's talk radio that you download. Oh, well, why would I listen to that then? You know?
Yeah.
But on the other hand, it's much more accessible than Radio 4 because it's about whatever you want it to be about. Either if you're making them, you can make whatever the hell you want. And if you're a consumer of podcasts, you can open up a podcast app, search for something you want to listen about, and there you go. There's 100 podcasts about anime. Hell, I just listened to very recently a 10-part series. Each episode was an hour and a half long, thereabouts, about the book Lolita.
Okay.
You wouldn't get that on the radio.
No.
You know, you wouldn't get a 15-hour-long radio series about one book. One book that is extremely controversial. But there it is. Somebody's gone off and made a podcast about it, and it was fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. This is the thing. Everything can be so niche. I mean, Squee mentions this here in a comment. Shows like WCF with Marin interviewing Obama have really raised the profile of podcasting. Definitely the format of the new gen also means anyone can be a podcaster, so no gatekeepers.
Which there are still gatekeepers in a manner of speaking. Anyone can be a podcaster, but sort of the problem we've got at the moment is that everyone is a podcaster.
Yes, yeah.
And so it's really hard to get your voice heard. It's really hard to get your stuff out there because everybody's getting their stuff out there.
Yeah, yes, this is true. And also, it used to be the case, I think, when I probably started Dead Piet a little bit too late for this, but it used to be a case of if you went on some of the bigger, within iTunes at the time, the podcast charts, the new and noteworthy section of that would have been mostly amateur podcasters well, and kicking off and starting things. And some of those became really big, and a lot of them faded into nothing. Now, if you go on there, they're probably all people you recognise already.
Yeah.
Something or other. And that difference, the people like you and I getting a foot in and getting people to listen is now harder than it used to be.
Yeah, very much so. And I mean, this last year has really shown just how much of a market there is for notable person talking to notable person podcasts. Because you can't move for such and such has started a podcast. Oh, what's the format? Oh, yeah, they talk to their mates.
Yeah.
Which, Richard Herring has been doing that for 7 or 8 years now.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, it's great. Scroobius Pip. In fact, I rediscovered Distraction Pieces yesterday, the Scroobius Pip chat podcast. He's been doing that for a long, long time now. Adam Buxton's been doing it for a long time. But now Louis Theroux's got one. Sue Perkins has got one. What's his name?
I read about or heard Adam Buxton talking to Louis Theroux about when Louis Theroux started his, because when the first lockdown came, Adam Buxton had a bunch of microphones and things and he sent them to his friends he knew he wanted to talk to on his podcast during lockdown.
That's right, yeah.
Who didn't do it. So he sent a microphone to Louis Theroux, who then used that microphone to start the podcast.
Yeah, very much so.
Like, this was not my intention. You're now my competitor. What were you thinking?
Yeah. But then
a lot of these are started by not on the back of the person. They're not like, I want to start a podcast where I'm an interviewer. A lot of them seem to be companies going, we want to get our name out there in some form. Oh, let's do it by a podcast. Oh, let's get someone famous to do a podcast. Or what do we make the podcast about? We can't just make it about our company. And suddenly you've got a NatWest podcast that's about just conversations, or Mini Cheddar's doing a podcast about motoring, or whatever it is. It's just these weird selections. I don't know. Mini Cheddar's popped into my head because I was looking on Twitter last night, and Comedy Central tweet came up with a video from Paul Chowdhury and part of his stand-up routine, and I noticed underneath it said promoted by Mini Cheddar's.
Obviously.
I was like, well, of course. Why would they promote something that's not their product or anything to do with their product?
Truly a match made in heaven.
That's what I thought.
But no, I mean, if it's not celebrities talking to celebrities, it's celebrities talking about the TV show they were in. Another one of the big ones last year was the Scrubs one, Fake Doctors, Real Friends.
Yes.
Which I listened to the first season's worth of, and it's great. You know, it's a really lovely thing because Zach Braff and Donald Faison are obviously friends. But you sort of get to a point where you're like, well, I've watched all of Scrubs and I'm not learning anything new from these. But iHeartRadio are making a fortune off of it.
Yeah.
The advertising's there, and fair play to it. You know, I'm never gonna say that there shouldn't be any podcasts, or there shouldn't be as many podcasts, because the more the merrier, quite frankly. But I would like to see a format whereby smaller indie producers can get themselves out there some more. There is a really interesting thing being done. Do you know what? I wish I'd done my research before I started talking because I can't remember what it's called now. There's a producer called Sarah. She runs Rise and Shine, and every week you submit your podcast to the list, and every week one of the podcasts in the list is pulled out of the hat to be the featured podcast of the week. And everybody who's submitted their work to it, kind of part of the rules is they have to share it on their social media. So the idea is that all the small amateur indie podcast creators are sharing each other's work and getting it out there. So that's a really nice thing. I can't remember what the scheme's called because I've had an extremely long week. But yeah, if you look up Rise and Shine podcasts on Twitter, Podcast Promo Club, that's the one.
That's
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a good one. So anyone, I know there are a few people listening who are podcasters.
Mm.
So yeah, get involved.
But if you're not podcasters, you'll still find some really lovely stuff.
Absolutely.
To listen to. I mean, I was featured on there a few weeks ago, and you know, it's really nice, and I have discovered some really good stuff that I wouldn't normally listen to through it. You know,
yeah, absolutely. And I when I first I started Dead Poets Society in 2000. I can't remember now. 2015, I think it was. Maybe. No, 2016, because it wasn't too long before the first SuperPod in 2017 that we actually started it. And I thought, that's when my podcasting started. That would be the first one I did, was the first Dead Poet. And then I found some old files on an old hard drive, including a podcast that I actually had done in, I think, 2009. And I only did 2 episodes of it, and it wasn't released as podcasts are now. I think it was literally just posted on my website. But it was, for all intents and purposes, a podcast.
Mm.
And when more people listen to that than I think listen to most of the stuff I do now. And it was, I used to run an eFed, which is basically an internet wrestling thing. And it's where you make up your characters and you write stories as your characters. You write a promo saying, I'm going to beat you, but better than that. And the idea is people write them. I ran the company. I said, you're going to fight this person next week. They would both write stories about that match. I would pick which one was better, and that person would win the match.
Mm.
That's how it worked. And then I did a podcast about both in and out of character. So it included some stuff people were talking about what was going to happen in the story, and then also talking to, I'm the guy behind this character, and stuff like that. And I'd totally forgotten that I'd done it. Episodes of it, and interviewed a couple of different people, and it was meant to be a thing, but it just got too much time, and the whole thing stopped. I stopped doing the entire thing. But looking back, I was like, actually, I started podcasting a lot earlier than I thought. I just had a long 7-year gap in between my episodes.
I did my first podcast when I was at uni, so that would have been 2009. 2009, I think I did, and it was. But it wasn't really a podcast per se. It was kind of like a anarchic 1-hour radio show with a couple of mates in the uni radio studio. we didn't actually, I don't think we put it up on an RSS. And again, I think we just uploaded it to the website that I was using at the time. And that was that. And of course, that's now, lost to the history. But I do think that if I'd have started like 60,000, if I'd have started 60,000 when I graduated, instead of trying to find that one thing that I could do a podcast about, just put up a stream of whatever the hell I want to do, I would probably be doing all right now with it. It could well be the basis for my high flying career as an audio producer because of getting in at the ground floor, as it were.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I didn't, and I'm not. So I'm still a welder.
The next time after those 2 episodes, I got into podcasting was about a year or so before I started Dead Piet. I don't know why I searched it out. I think I'd heard people talking about podcasts, and I was just getting into reading comic books, and I was like, I want to talk to other people about this, about the comics, about that, but I don't want to be listening to. I think at that point maybe I'd started listening to Kevin Smith. I didn't want an American version of it, or I didn't want some famous person talking about it. I wanted to find people that I could talk to, and I found a comic book club on Facebook, and through that I then searched, well, maybe there's a comic book podcast. And I wonder if there's a comic book podcast locally. This is how I found Nick, our mutual friend, Nick and James, their comic book podcast, Mom Comic, it was at the time, and which became We Have Issues. They also did a podcast, Two Grown Men, and they were on
I was Monkey on My Back, wasn't it?
Yes.
Mom. Yeah.
Mom. And that's how I found them, and that's how I first started regularly listening to kind of indie podcasts. Them. And of course, that eventually, through following people on social media and friends of friends, is how I ended up knowing you. Is through that whole process. So it's weird how it's come kind of all this way that we are now sat here together talking about podcasts.
But we're actually, as the crow flies, only about a half a mile apart.
Yeah, exactly. Such a small world.
Mad. Yeah, it's mad.
I remember once talking of small worlds. We were on holiday in the US when I must have been about 12, and we were just walking along some promenade in California somewhere, and this guy came up to me and said, to me and my dad, was like, "Oh, you from Southampton?" My dad was like, "What? Yeah. How did you know?" Because he's wearing a Saints shirt. How did you recognise it? He's like, "Well, I'm from Winchester." I live
Obviously.
He lived in California for 20 years, but he was from Winchester.
Wow.
All the places in the world, and you bump into someone from just
and it just.
And when I was at uni, this guy was telling me the story. These 2 lads from Huddersfield who were sharing a room at uni next to my room, and this was in '97. Well, no, it was '99. It would have been. And they said, "Oh, we were in France for the World Cup '98, and we had tickets, and we were quite high up at the back of the stand, and we were there chatting." And this guy in the row in front of us turned around and looked confused. And we were like, "You all right?" It's like, "Yeah, I recognised your voice." He said, "What do you mean?" It's like, "And now I recognise you." And they looked at him and said, "Well, we don't recognise you." He's like, "That's probably because I'm not wearing my Domino's uniform. I'm a delivery guy. I see you on Friday." And they were like, "Oh, my God, yeah, it's you." And they've gone all the way to the World Cup and sat behind their local pizza delivery guy. Which
amazing.
How a Domino's delivery guy got tickets to a World Cup. But
well, Domino's delivery guys are allowed to go to football games. Maybe the tips were good.
Yes, maybe.
I've been a Domino's delivery guy, and I can tell you those tips are vital.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, it's just one of my many careers throughout my life, and now I'm working on podcaster.
Yes, this is a thing. I've gone from trying to do radio at university to falling into health insurance, and then international health insurance.
A tale as old as time.
Yeah, absolutely. And now trying to go full circle, doing podcast festivals, and starting my own radio station.
For which I'm very thankful.
Keeping me busy. I was saying to Kitty last night, I've got a massive ulcer on my tongue. I was like, I think I'm very tired. Probably I've been too busy trying to organise all this stuff.
Yeah,
it's not a physical event because it would be even worse.
I don't envy you. I don't envy the amount of work you've had to put into this, and you know, for that reason alone, people really should dig into their pockets and put money in the pot.
Yes.
Quite frankly,
Absolutely.
we want to see £1,000 in the pot by 12 o'clock. So you've got 24 minutes, people,
to raise the other £920.
£900, yeah, easily done.
Easily done. A reminder at the bottom here, please donate at superpod.co.uk. There's a big donate button in the front of the screen now. When you go to the website, you should see this stream on the front page and then a donate button on the right. Click that, you'll go to our official Red Nose Day Just Giving page. So it's not going through us at all. All the money goes straight to Comic Relief. And if you're a UK-based person and a taxpayer, please do say yes to gift aid so they get an extra 25% on top. It doesn't cost you anything else. Government just chuck another 25% on top. And therefore Red Nose Day Comic Relief get more money. So please,
do them out of a little bit of tax.
Yeah. Take some of your tax back off the government and give it.
Yeah, power to the people.
Whoop, whoop. So that's what we're doing. So we are talking about various things today. And why don't you tell us about this mini episode that you've made?
Okay. So I love music. I always have done. I don't have a musical bone in my body. I can't play any instruments. GarageBand on the iPad is an absolute boon for people who can't play music, because all of the music that you hear, there's obviously some music in this one that you're about to play that isn't by me. You'll know which it is. But all of the music that I put on my own podcasts now, I make with GarageBand on my iPad. But I'm not a very musical person, but I do love music, and I've always had it playing in the background as long as I can remember. And I was sat there the other day trying to think about something to write for a future podcast, and I was listening to something, and it just suddenly hit me, the notion that there are people who refuse to listen to new music because it's not what they like. And so I expanded upon that a bit and wrote something very quick. As my episodes go, this one's a very short one. Custom made, really, just for SuperPod.
Ooh, special.
In the end, yeah. So I may well revisit it and expand it a bit. But in the meantime, yeah, this is musical waymarkers.
Okay, well, let's play that now.
There's always something new to listen to. Or that band or group or woman playing a guitar alone in her bedroom hasn't yet written it, or even decided to pursue an interest in music. Perhaps the person responsible for writing the song that will fire you up to the next level hasn't yet been born. How can anyone declare that all new music is crap without having heard all of it? What about that one woman in Senegal, as I speak, driving herself mad over a specific chord progression, an elusive rhyme, a particular beat? How can you make such a blanket statement without giving her a chance to prove you wrong? There are days when that thought is overwhelming, when it's easier, more comforting to retreat back into the known. Headphones on, surrounded by the sounds that accompanied your first kiss, your first awkward fumbling, that one endless summer afternoon with your friends running amok in the forest. You listen to the song that reminds you of your first heartbreak because it perfectly encapsulates your soul, or the track that your mum played after her and dad rowed for the last time and he left, for good this time. Your future has no waymarkers right now, no signposts laying out where you are and where you will be. But it will, when it's your past. Right now you're lost. You don't know what to think, what to enjoy. You don't know what you're going to look back on wistfully 20 years from now. What scenes will you only miss after the other players have left the stage? What music will have scored them? You owe it to yourself and to the music you already love to affix those memories with a new playlist. If for no other reason than, when taking part in a pop quiz, you can pinpoint the year of a song's release by where you were when it imprinted on you. Hanging out in the school gym with my mates. Cradling my newborn son. First heartbreak. First song played on the radio.
Well, you wonder why I always dress in black.
Drunkenly jamming on Rock Band with uni friends.
There must be some way out of here. Say the joker to the thief.
Meeting Frank Turner and seeing him live for the first time.
Everybody's got themselves a plan.
Second, first dance.
Eating so fast in search of news. A love that will last within your...
What song will I hear when I hold my first grandchild? What will be on the radio when I hear of the death of a loved one? What will be playing when I leave this mortal plane? For all I know, I haven't heard it yet. With any luck, its writer won't even be a twinkle in their father's eye yet.
And there we are.
Well, I hope that was okay.
It was lovely. Thank you. Apologies if you didn't hear the first couple of seconds of that. It went out on the radio. It just might not have gone out on the live stream.
I did wonder. I thought that something had gone up with my browser.
Because I've obviously turned myself off. But it's coming through the same mixer as my mic. So I have to make sure my mic is on all the time when I'm playing. So apologies. But it still went through on the radio. So
yeah, that's basically the idea of what 60K is, 60,000. It's just that, really.
That's nice. And it's I like it because it can be whatever you want it to be. It can be about whatever you want it to be about. And it's always interesting. It's always insightful. And it's always very beautifully produced. It always sounds amazing.
Yeah, that's why I don't do many of them.
Yeah, because it takes you so long.
Yeah, it really does. I've been beavering away on that 3 minutes of audio all week. It's ridiculous. I did one. There's one on my feed. An incomplete list of things for which I thank Europe, it was called. And there's a segment in it where I talk about pop music, European pop music. And that one segment alone lasts 25 seconds, 30 seconds. That took me about 3 hours to just do that one bit because I wanted everything to sound just right, everything to fade and flow. And it took me like 2 weeks to make this 10-minute podcast. And so, yeah, that's why I usually end up not putting up one a week, as is my plan.
Yeah. And this is why I did with the Bear Cave, another podcast, to do the same. I'll put one up when I'm ready to put one up. But time at the moment is been spent on other things.
Yeah.
It will, and I'm sure it will. The first 4 episodes are kind of similar. They all follow a little pattern. I talk to a podcaster about something. I play a clip from somebody else's podcast. I took a clip from the Dead Pet Society that we were doing at the time each week. Stuff like that. Speaking of Dead Pet Society, it's a bit different. I have a story lined up for you here. I'll open the other one in a minute. I only had a couple because I knew we were going to be doing different things. So we do a little thing. We did it similar to this through the same system. Darren and I and my friend Lloyd would get together on a Tuesday night to do a live video podcast called the Dead Pet Society, and the basis of that was to talk about weird news stories. So I've got one weird news story here for you. Let's play this.
Looking back at the oddest stories of the past 7 days, this is the weird week that was. The weird week that was.
And this is from the Metro, and the headline is just been hidden because an advert's just gone up over my screen. Venomous snake found curled up inside teenager's asthma inhaler. A teenage girl was horrified to discover a venomous snake hiding inside her inhaler. What is this advert for? SAS red notice, go away. The teen was bringing in her washing yesterday at home in Queensland, Australia, and the advert has just reappeared itself. Go away.
Good old Metro, really earning its money.
It just keeps pulsing in and out this video and covering the words of the story. It was in Queensland, Australia. She spotted a red-bellied black snake slither out of the clothes she had just brought inside. She wasn't sure where it had ended up until she noticed it curled up inside the open top of her blue inhaler. Fortunately, the girl called a team of snake catchers who managed to safely capture the reptile and rehome it. Red-bellied black snakes are frequently found on Australia's east coast and are responsible for a number of bites each year. No human deaths have been recorded, but their venom can cause serious symptoms including bleeding, vomiting, abdominal pain, headaches, diarrhea, and muscle weakness or pain, much like this website. After the discovery yesterday, Sunshine Coast snake catchers wrote on Facebook, "You would not believe this. This is crazy, and we're super lucky we're able to find the snake." They told 9 News, "It's one of the most incredible places we've ever found a snake before. I couldn't imagine what it would be like picking it up and discovering it in there. The snake was only a juvenile, but it could still give a nasty bite if scared or provoked," they say.
Is her inhaler an air compressor? How big is this thing?
It is the standard blue Ventolin inhaler. I haven't done it, so I can't share the screen, but I'll hold it up there for you for those who are watching the video.
Tiny, tiny snake. It's a worm.
Tiny snake, yeah. But it was...
Stick you a nip, though.
It will give you a nip.
Yeah.
Snake inside an inhaler is probably about the worst thing you can find in an inhaler, I would have thought.
I mean, you could find anthrax in there.
Yeah, I suppose.
The whole band jamming out.
You know what I found inside my inhalers when I looked last week?
I'm going to assume it's not Ventolin.
It's out-of-date Ventolin.
Ah.
I was like, oh, okay, that one's out of date. Let me check. Oh, that one's out of date. Oh, let me check. Oh, they're all out of date. There has been one in my coat pocket that says best before August 2016.
Yeah, I don't think that's usable.
This inhaler has been in my coat. I mean, the coat's not that old, so I don't know where it's come from.
That inhaler lasted the entirety of Donald Trump's presidency.
Yeah.
Wow.
That inhaler was pre-first SuperPod and everything. So
I'm going to suggest that your asthma probably isn't that bad.
Yeah, it's not. It's not too bad. I've been fortunate, actually. Normally, mine's the one that's kind of, in the summer, fine. As long as I'm not run too far, I'm all right. In the winter, it's the cold weather going in and out between warm house, cold air, sets it off.
Yeah.
So I am now, for the last couple of years, been working at home. I don't go out so much in the cold weather.
Yeah.
I need to go out and get in the car and go to work or walk to the bus or whatever. So going in and out is not, especially with lockdown, I'm not going in and out of shop or walking to football or any of that kind of stuff anymore. So it's actually, my asthma seems to have improved as a result.
You've helped the NHS no end.
Yeah.
Well done.
Got some free NHS equipment lying around the house if anyone is interested in a CPAP machine.
I also have a free CPAP machine lying around. I moved from Bristol, registered with the Southampton Sleep Studies Department. They issued me with a new CPAP machine, and Bristol never asked for it back.
Yeah, this is what's happened to me because I was with Winchester, even though I live here in Southampton. I was referred to Winchester Sleep Clinic. They gave me a CPAP. They loan you. You have to sign a loan agreement saying this belongs to the NHS, but it's yours for as long as you need it. But when you finish with it, give it back. And then I realised they shut down about 2 years ago. And I realised I hadn't had a review and my mask had broken. So I thought I'd better look into it. Got re-referred to Southampton, went there last weekend, got a new CPAP. And they were like, oh, you'll need to give the old one back. Where's it from? I was like, oh, it's from Winchester, but the clinic's not there anymore. They went, well, it's the hospitals, technically. Just contact the hospital. So I did. And I've left 3 messages with different departments. They're all like, no.
Okay.
Well, I'll keep hold of it just for a bit, just in case.
You could sleep double good.
Yeah.
Just as a heads up, though, you know you're supposed to replace the mask every 6 months, right?
Well, yeah, this is why Winchester was so poor, because they never sent me anything and never sent me any messages. So I had two that I was alternating, both of which broke because they were so old.
Yeah. Check us out, a pair of regular Banes over here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What we're coming up to, it's 9 minutes to 12. So just to let you know what's coming up next, 12 is 100 Gigs podcast. It's pre-record. And it is by aspiring stand-up Hasib Malik, who is talking to award-winning comedian Nathan Caton about his career in comedy. And it's a great interview. I enjoy that one when that plays. Well, I'm going to get something to eat at 12. And then much more coming up after that. I will be back after that show finishes to remind you about everything else that's coming up this afternoon. So do keep your ears peeled here to Super 3 for the rest of the day. We've managed to waffle through this time period.
We don't waffle, Al. This is incisive chat, start to finish.
This podcast, this hour, started as an idea of a way of getting shorter podcasts involved in SuperPod, ones that do shorter recorded stuff. Because I wanted to get you involved, Darren, and I wanted to do stuff because podcast, and you were like, yeah, I'll do it. Obviously, can't do an hour, but I'll do something. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to go out and find 2 or 3 others who can do it, and we'll just stick them together in an hour. We'll do this version of the Bear Cave. And then, unfortunately, 2 days ago, one guy who was going to be doing like a 25-minute show pulled out because he was just too busy to do a daily podcast. And then special one on top turned out to be too much for him. I was like, well, don't do a special one. Just give us tomorrow's. Give it to us as exclusive. We'll play it today. Then you release it tomorrow. It's fine. No, it didn't.
Rude. Absolutely rude. Tell me who it is so I can promise to never listen. But no, I mean, there are. The thing is, there are a lot of short podcasts out there, and actually, that's what I prefer. How long have we got until you need to move on to the next bit?
Oh, we've got a couple of minutes.
Cool. I actually prefer short podcasts generally. And don't get me wrong, I'll listen to 90-minute discussions between people while I'm working, but I do like the short ones because they tend to be more amateur, more from the heart. More they tend to be things that people want to talk about rather than things that people feel that they should talk about because they want to get a big audience from it.
Yeah.
There's one in particular that I love. Actually, I'll list you a couple. 301 Permanently Moved by Jay Springett. You'll find him on Twitter at the JMO. His is 5 minutes and 1 second every week. It releases it on a Friday, I think it is. And it's like a diary, essentially. Some weeks it'll be about what he's been up to that week. Last week, it was about his mobile phones, all the mobile phones he's had up until this moment. Other times it'll be about a discussion panel he went to or a thing he's written. And it's fascinating. Every week it's a different thing, and I love it, and it's really good. Yeah, 5 minutes and 1 second. Every week, 5 minutes and 1 second. Then there's The Memory Palace, which is a much, much bigger, but still short. In fact, The Memory Palace was the inspiration behind what I do. His every other week, it's Nate DeMeo, part of Radiotopia. So, everybody knows Radiotopia one way or the other. They've got the likes of 99% Invisible. Generally, Memory Palace is about 12 minutes long, 10 to 12 minutes long, and it'll be about a historical person that you might not have heard of, or a moment in time. Generally American. It's generally American, turn of the century, early 20th century stuff. This week's episode was about one of the Flying Wallanders who died recently. She was the last remaining of the Flying Wallanders, the acrobatic group from the mid-20th century. And it's just a lovely little thing. And like I say, it's like 12 minutes in and gone and done and out the door. And I love that.
Yeah, I do. I enjoy that. I've started listening to that on your recommendation. Yeah, thoroughly enjoy that as part of my work day.
Yeah, every episode of 60,000 I try to listen back to it and I go, would this fit on the Memory Palace feed? probably not, but I'm too tired to do anything more with it now, so that'll do.
Nice. Well, there we go. We'll end with some podcast recommendations from Darren. My rare podcast recommendation is listen to Darren's podcast, 60 Days. Listen to the Bear Cave and other podcasts when next time I put something out. I will put this out on the feed at some point, but I will do something again on that feed, I'm sure. And I do a Bear Cave radio show as well. Find that, search for that. You can find me in various places.
I do like the Bear Cave show.
And we do some fun stuff. And I at some point I'm going to try and beat my record for the cover chain, which I think is now standing at 18, which was a crazy number. If I can do a whole show one day, I will do it. For those who don't know, cover chain is where I start with a cover version of a song, and then I play another cover version, which is someone covering the person who did the first cover, and then so on. You chain them up as long as you can, each one covering the person that came before, and you see how many long you can go. It gets quite tricky. So normally we only do 3 each week. Last week I did 5, but I did a cover version special, and I managed to get into double figures.
I'm trying to think of some now, but off the top of my head, I'm completely lost.
Well, I've got my playlist here from last week. So, for example, for people, last week I started with Billy Idol's cover of Mony Mony. Went into Queens of the Stone Age, White Wedding. Ryan Comedy's No One Knows. Ben Folds' cover of Songs of Love. And Amy Cullum's version of Brick. So I did.
I didn't know Jamie Cullum had covered Brick.
Yeah, me either.
Wow, there you go.
It was right, so I ended it with that. But yeah, a few weeks ago I did. I think it was 18, and it went from. I can't remember how far we're going now. But
I think I'm going to yoink that idea and make it an entire show. One episode of 1 week on the playlist. I think I might.
Covers would work well on the.
Well, no, not just covers. The cover chain.
Still the whole thing. That's fine.
See if I can do a 2-hour cover chain. Wow.
I started doing this a while ago, talking to my mate Ed a couple of years ago about whether it was possible, and it turns out it is. So I do that every week. So I will bid you adieu for now. Thank you for listening and watching, everyone. I will be back after 100 gigs. And we will be talking about everything else that's coming up this afternoon. So we will lead into the next sketch from the Release the Clowns podcast, and I'm going to play that now. And I've tried uploading it in a different way, so hopefully it'll be a bit smoother this time.
Fingers crossed.
So enjoy, and thanks everyone.